I remember he proposed to me either on my 27th or 28th birthday, and I remember thinking like I checked the box. I remember thinking like everyone else is getting married right now. Yeah, it's sick. It's fucked up. I wasn't even excited to get married. I wasn't crying. Like, I feel like girls get the ring and they're like crying, and that was not my response.
Did you recognize that in the moment? Welcome to the Kevin Clancy Show. I've been in this game over a decade, and I knew I needed a place where I could run wild on my own solo podcast, where I tell personal stories, I deep dive into conspiracy theories, we rip through the current events of the day, and we do sit-down conversations with the most interesting people on the internet. Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss an episode. What's up, you mutts? It's another episode of the Kevin Clancy Show, Spite Tour Phase 2, Episode 12. Today we got one half of the Girls Gotta Eat. We got Rayna Greenberg on, one of my best friends in this industry. The Girls Gotta Eat, if you're not familiar with their podcast, is basically like a female version of a more successful KFC Radio. That's Rayna and her partner Ashley, who are just like the female versions of me in fights, talking about everything from sex and relationships to funny stories and the internet and everything in between. Doing live shows, podcasting. Ashley does stand-up. Rayna's like a foodie, blogger, personality. And so her story is one of, like everyone else who has a tale of falling ass backwards into this industry. Rayna's got one of her own. So we'll talk to her. If you are here because you are a Girls Gotta Eat fan, welcome to the guys version of your favorite podcast. So we'll get into that. First, I got to recap what had to be just one of the most harrowing experiences anybody can have, and that's my little girl, Shay, my 5.5-year-old daughter, breaking her arm and going under the knife last week. I was pretty much out all week for work because of this. And as always, when I'm faced with something like this, the KFC mush takes effect. And it's always a fucking shit show. There's just always something. Always something. There's never been a period of time in my life for the last 10 years, maybe 11. I think the last time that I was just like good, like woke up, do work, go out, have fun, go to sleep, redo it. Pay all your bills, have enough money, do nice things, don't have to worry about bills, not really strapped for cash, no stress, no responsibility. It's been a solid decade now. And you introduce, you get married, I got divorced in my case, you have kids, you get more bills, and it's just how life goes. But it's fucking sickening when I sit back and I think that I haven't just been good, just chilled out in a fucking decade. Oh, as I'm saying that now, it's like hitting my soul. Like, I wake up every single morning in a panic. And I know my guy Nick Hamilton can relate. Yep. I mean, literally, here's what I can't tell. Here's a Chinese riddle for you, Rhonda. I wake up in the middle of the night and in the morning, and I am in a fit of anxiety. And I can't tell whether that is my brain or if that is my brain on drugs. My brain, like what's Jekyll and what's Hyde? Like, am I freaking out because I was well rested and my brain is crystal clear and it's waking me out of a sleep being like, you got to fix this, you got to do this, you better clean this up, you got to figure this out, you got to do this better, you got to stop doing that, and that's my brain telling me what to do? Or is that my brain when it's all fucked up and I just woke up from like a nightmare and it's like, no, dude, take a few breaths, you're good, you're fine. I don't know, but I don't like it. That's the difference. Waking up in the morning, it's been 10 years since I woke up in the morning and I was just like, what's going on? What's up for today? Gonna go to work, hang out with the friends. How about that acting job? Just banging out a real yawn right there. That was incredible. I have not had that feeling in 10 years, and that's what I long for. I don't need to be like having a great time, traveling the world, doing crazy things. I just want to wake up and not be freaking out. And there's just always something, whether it's like unexpected bills. Oh, the fucking IRS How about this? I'll get to Shay in a second. You know what? We'll do Shay first. We'll do it chronologically so it can build. So last week I took a couple days off to try to like not be a fucking crazy lunatic, and I had to come back to the city from Jersey to go to the Barstool Sports Upfronts. Big production for all of our sponsors where we get 50% of our money up front for the year. And I'm driving down the West Side Highway coming into the city, and I get a text from my nanny that says, "Hey, can you call me?" And I don't know about any other parents out there. You get a text from your nanny saying, "Hey, can you call me?" And it's like, call the funeral home, make the arrangements. What's going on? What's the problem? She says to me, I think Shay may have broken her arm. And I'm like, you think? What does that mean? And then I hear in the background, like, Keegan, stop it! I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's going to be broken. So I'm legit whip a U-turn right on the West Side Highway, head back up. I got to go to the hospital. Get to the hospital. I see Shay's arm very much broken. No doubt about it. We're not talking bone through the skin, but on her right arm, like where her elbow, or like, that elbow area, a little bit up on her bicep, is just this mangled, like, a bump. This bump that just shouldn't be there. And I remember thinking, so this happened around like 3:30, right? The upfront event where we had to be on stage was at 7. And I remember having the thought, I'm going to get to the hospital. We're going to get her some x-rays. They're going to say it's broken. They're probably going to wrap her in a cast. She'll be good to go. Maybe I can hop back in the car, zoom into the city. Maybe I'll be a little bit late, but it's like 3:30, 4 o'clock. I can get back into the city 3 hours from now. I can maybe pull all this off. We didn't get out of the fucking waiting room until almost 7. This was a shit show of epic proportions, and I want to know why is that always the case? How many people in the world have ever had like an emergency, broken a bone, had some injury, something wrong with you, you go to like the emergency room, you walk into a hospital, and it just goes well? How has that ever happened? No matter where I've ever gone. I've been to fucking Einstein in the Bronx, all the way up to Westchester Medical. I've done them all. And every time, you've got some asshole nurses, some shitty receptionists, no bedside manner, no rooms available, the waiting room's overrun, the people who came in after you get seen before you, they give you the fake out, they call your name, and then it's like, well, we just needed, what's the date? Then you fill it in, go sit back down. Then you do get called in, they put you in a second room where you do the second waiting, and then they take like your vitals, and they send you back again. I'm like, what is happening? So poor Shay has just been fucking sitting there with a broken arm for hours on end. Nobody has really treated it. Nothing's happening. And I got a pretty short fuse when it comes to any sort of that hospital stuff. But the problem is you can't fight the nurses or like alienate the people who are going to like hold your fate. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to like play it nice, but they're not getting my daughter fucking anything for her pain. We're not actually seeing a doctor. And so she's sitting there. I'm watching the bruising settle in. I'm watching like her arm's getting worse. It's getting bigger. She's getting tired. She's hungry. She's thirsty. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And then this girl, let's call her Courtney, made up name. She comes into our little emergency room cubicle where you just pull the curtain over. And she is a kids coach or some shit. She's like the health coach nurse. Totally fabricated, made up job. This girl shows up. She's got to be, I don't know, 14? She's a baby. I don't know what degree you need to have to be like, she was the emergency room clown. She was the court jester. She showed up with a fanny pack full of toys for the kids. It was like a clown. I was half expecting her to start making balloon animals and like pulling a fucking handkerchief out of her throat. It was like, what even is your fucking job? So I don't even, she was a baby. And she's not a real nurse, she's not a real doctor. Like, what are you doing here? So all of a sudden she starts peppering Shay with questions that are very obviously to find out how she broke her arm in case it's like a situation of abuse. Like, so me and her mom are right there. So they're trying to ask these questions that are sort of like, did anybody do this to you? Like, how did this happen? And which brings me to how it happened, by the way. Just add it to the fucking list of the anxiety life. The new house that I got for the kids, the old owners left us, so thankfully, appreciate the gracious gift, left us their trampoline. Left us the jungle gym and the trampoline. And I'm one of these dudes who, like, when I grew up, we were flipping on fucking trampolines. We were bouncing off trampolines into pools. We were doing all sorts of wacky shit, jumping off a fucking roof. We were playing, you know, it was one of those childhoods where it's like we leave the house, go ride our bikes for like 8 hours, and my parents were like, don't get kidnapped. And that was really it. You know, we were lighting tennis balls on fire and throwing them at cars. We were hitting golf balls with aluminum bats into the great unknown. I mean, we were doing dumb shit, reckless stuff. And it's a miracle that I am not dead and I never had any like major injuries then. So I see the trampoline and I'm like, I know this is a fucking nightmare of an idea. I know where this is going, but I didn't want to be a wet blanket. I don't want to be the lame dad. It was there. They already saw it. They were like, we got a new house and it has a backyard and it comes with a trampoline. And I'm like, all right, fuck, go ahead. It's got the net on it though, whatever. The girl doesn't even break her arm on the trampoline. It's the ladder getting up to the trampoline. She slips off that, falls, puts her right arm back, breaks it. Just the lead up to the trampoline. Like, isn't it ironic? Don't you think? Since they had the house, for weeks, every day I've been saying, this trampoline's a bad idea, this trampoline's a bad idea. I know this is gonna be a problem. I know something's gonna happen. Just give it time. We're gonna end up in the emergency room. Bingo, bango, bongo. Here it is. So the health coach clown is asking, like, how this happened. Did you do this? Who was there? Did anybody see? All these like leading questions that are basically like, you know, did your dad break your arm? And Shay's just firing off all these answers. And so now she decides, because now I'm getting mad. So I'm like, yo, bitch, unless you have some fucking medicine or some answers, you gotta get the fuck out. We're going like Ari Gold here. So they finally are trying to give Shay some medicine, right? And they come back with some Robitussin shit that I swear to God was made in the asshole of the devil himself. That's how disgusting this medicine was. I mean, when it comes to like that cough medicine, syrupy, that type of flavor, I think it's the most disgusting thing on the planet Earth. I can't believe there are people who actually like that. The fact that they manufacture it in like, here's the cherry flavor, and it's like, this tastes fucking disgusting. But that's the flavor we choose to like mass produce. What the fuck are we doing here? I hate all of those. This particular flavor, if you will, I took a little shot myself. I was like, this tastes horrific. So this hits Shay's lips for like a milliliter hits her tongue, and she's like, fuck no. So honestly, we're like, one of the biggest fights we're having is just trying to get her to take this medicine. And along comes the goddamn clown. And she's like, hey, can I help? And I'm like, no, you cannot, bitch. She's like, what does Shay want to play with? So she opens up her fanny pack full of games. And in it is a tub of Play-Doh. Play-Doh is fire. I love Play-Doh. I'm not trying to play with Play-Doh right now. I'm trying to get this girl medicated because she's got a mangled arm that's like pointing the wrong direction. She just tries to distract her with Play-Doh. And then she goes like, what else do you like, Shay? Shay says glitter. And the clown says, how about we make some Play-Doh glitter? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She decides we're gonna pour a fucking vial of glitter into Play-Doh and mash it all up. Which sounds to me like the single most unsanitary thing that's ever fucking happened in a hospital bed. We're gonna have glitter everywhere. We're gonna have Play-Doh everywhere. Shay herself goes, isn't this gonna be a huge mess? I'm like, you're goddamn right, little girl. The clown, the emergency room clown goes, yeah, I don't know, this is my first time doing it. What? You're just strolling around the fucking neighborhood here, making your rounds in your little clown block, the court jester, showing up, just coming up with ideas for the girl with the broken limb. I don't know, let's mix fucking Play-Doh and glitter. Let's take some super glue and some fucking, sugar and mix it all together. Who knows what the fuck's gonna happen? I don't know, I'm just a goddamn clown. So we're mixing it up and there's goddamn glitter everywhere. Like, this is gonna help the girl fucking take medicine. Lo and behold, someone with a brain comes in and goes, this is the adult stuff. Let's give her the children's version. It's berry flavored, grape flavored. Bam, in and out, no problem. The grape flavor is king medicine flavor. It goes grape, bubblegum, the rest. Like, I would love, when I used to get amoxicillin, buddy, I could pop a straw in there. Amoxicillin, the pink bubblegum shit I think is amoxicillin, that was like a Frosty. That was like a strawberry Frosty. It had the same consistency of a Wendy's Frosty. You almost needed a spoon straw to like get it all out. But the grape, like Dimetap, oh my God. Oh my God, Dimetap, I could shotgun. Dimetap, I could do that Chinese guy, and he like tornado chugs. I could do that with Dimetap. I could drink Dimetap, I could have like 10 bottles of that right now. That's king. And when you get to the cherry, when you're doing Robitussin, or in this case it was like this Tylenol shit, absolutely fucking vile. Thank God there was one person with a fucking brain in that hospital, because I've got the class clown with her fanny pack full of fucking goodies, accusing me of breaking my daughter's arm, mixing up Play-Doh and glitter with just bringing zero goddamn value to the fucking situation. It was comical how fucking, I couldn't have been more rude to this girl. Courtney, I'm not sorry. If you're listening, you were the worst. You were absolutely unbearable. But of course, because of the mush and because nothing ever goes, nothing's ever easy, and because I pass it down to my poor daughter who has to pay for the sins of her father, she's the only kid in the world who doesn't just break a bone and they go, you'll be fine, put a cast on it, you'll be back in like 3-4 weeks. Nope, we need surgery. And she gets the x-rays done. I go in the room with her and I see this x-ray pop up on the screen and I was like, oh fuck, we are fucked. This thing, I'll put up, if you're watching on YouTube, we could put up the pictures, I think. I don't know. That's probably a HIPAA violation or something. But I'm sitting here snapping pictures of them off the screen and everything like that. So I'm looking at these and I asked the technician. And the first one stonewalls me and is like, you're going to have to wait for the doctor. I'm like, oh, really? Well, the doctor's probably not going to answer me for another fucking 12 hours because I've already been here for 8 and we're just getting the x-rays now. So and then I get to the second technician and I'm like, brother, shoot it to me straight. How bad does that look? And he goes, it's and he's barely speaking English. He's like, it's not good. And I was like, not good like it's, put you in a cast, or not good like you need surgery? And he's like, surgery. Like, goes like that, like surgery. Says it under his breath. And I was like, oh, we are fucked, man. So then we got to prep little Shay girl for surgery because the KFC mush has passed down to her. So now the Shay girl mush. She can't just be the one kid in the world who needs a cast. She's got to get surgery on her hand. She can't feel her thumb. Poor little angel is in pain. She wants to go home. She just wants her, her bed. And finally, they tell us that she's going to need surgery, right? So at this point, it's like very late at night. And they're saying first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. surgery. So now we find out we need surgery. And before we're going to go through that, they've got to like set her bone a little bit. Because at this point, she's still just like laying there with a broken wing. And they've got to do a little like pulling and pushing to get it back into place. And they're like, we're going to sedate her. And I'm sitting there in the room with her. And I watch my little girl, my little 5-year-old daughter, my little princess, my whole heart, Shay girl Shay. I watch her just get absolutely whacked on ketamine. I mean, just on another planet, fucking ketamine. There's such a difference when they say we're gonna like sedate you versus here's some ketamine. Like maybe it's a branding thing, maybe it's a marketing thing, but the nurse told me we're just gonna give her a little sedative. She's gonna get like loosey-goosey. She won't feel anything. I'm like, okay, cool. The next nurse is like, so all right, we'll start with the ketamine. I'm like, Shay's on K? You're gonna put little Shay girl in a K-hole? Her fucking degenerate dad's never even done ketamine. This little 5-year-old girl is gonna be doing ketamine? And I watched this wash come over her face, and she goes, everything's blurry. And I'm like, my heart is breaking. I'm like choking. I've been choking back tears the whole fucking night, the whole time. And I'm like leaning into her face. We're like nose to nose. I'm like squeezing her cheeks. I'm like, it's gonna be fine. This is a good thing. This is gonna help you. And she goes to me, she says, why do I keep seeing you have 4 eyes? I mean, it was like straight out of like America's Funniest Home Videos, David the Dentist type shit. Shay on ketamine, seeing fucking double of everything, not understanding what planet she was on. It was like, oh, my heart, it fucking breaks. And at this point in my life, I'm like, I just can't even comprehend everything that always goes wrong. And I think it's leading to early onset dementia. I think that's where we're at in my life. By the way, Shay ends up getting her surgery. Everything's fine. She goes like right back to like, not normal life, but she's right back at it. She's just doing all her shit with her left hand. She's still having fun. She's not really in much pain anymore. She's like, whatever. Meanwhile, you know, her parents are scarred for life. I'm never gonna forget the worst night of my life, you know? She's like, no big deal. That's the rub there. It's like kids go right back to their normal life. The parents are traumatized for the rest of their existence. And I think I think something has just snapped inside my brain that I don't think I can undo. And I think it's some sort of early onset dementia or some sort of Alzheimer's or something's coming down the pike. Because twice now, I have driven somewhere, gotten to my destination, and I just get out of the car and I leave it running. Just get up, go to the restaurant, go in to pick up my food, run in, do an errand, whatever. Come back and I'm like reaching for my keys because I'm like the last person on the planet Earth that has a key. I have a legitimate metal key that I put in a hole and I twist it. I probably got listeners out there who don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't have push to start in my fucking Hyundai, okay? I don't ever want to hear about people who think I'm rich or something. I drive a Hyundai with a turnkey, all right? I'm reaching for my keys and I'm like, where the fuck is the key? Like I just had it a second ago. And I'm standing outside my car and I kind of just hear the engine like the lights are on. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I get in, the air conditioner's running. The car's nice and cool. The radio's on. Car in park, key in, full engine on. I was like, oh my fucking God. And it happened once and I was like, I don't know, that's crazy. Can't believe I did that. And then it happened again. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a textbook sign that your brain is going to fucking mush. Like, one-way ticket to the notebook, bro. Your brain is done. Leaving the keys in the car running. The next thing you know, I'm going to be putting the cell phone in the refrigerator or some shit. I'm going to be walking around the neighborhood in my underwear. That, to me, is like, oh, that's not good. That's the worst part about getting old is weird things that, like, you don't ever think are going to happen to you, you know? Like, when I watch my parents do weird shit, I'm like, you're fucking old, and that's getting weird. And then I see that I'm starting to do those things, and I'm like, wait a fucking minute. Like, there was a time, I remember being like, there will never come a time where my dick doesn't work. Never. There is no chance. I could not even envision a scenario where my dick wouldn't get hard when I wanted it. It was like, if anything, I need this thing to stop. I need to scale this thing back. It's getting hard too often. Certainly not enough. It's like, nah, that's never going to be an issue for me. Like I said, if anything, I need less of this because that's what's causing problems. And, you know, lo and behold, enough days, weeks, months, years go by. The next thing you know, you're like, oh, shit. So that does happen, huh? That really does happen to the best of us, huh? And then, you know, it goes from your dick to your hair to now I'm losing my brain. Or like, I get like plantar fasciitis. I get out of bed in the morning and I take a step and my fucking foot hurts. I'm like, what is that? Waking up in the middle of the night, like anxious. Can I just go back to a time when everything worked and nothing was a problem? That's all I want. That's why I say I peaked in like Little League baseball days. The happiest time of my life, Little League baseball. I peaked athletically. I was fucking hitting dingers. I was on the bump throwing gas, pushing like I kind of faded out of Little League once they started throwing breaking balls. I was like, I can't hit the ball. It's fucking moving out of the way of my bat. It's a curveball. That's cheating. That's sorcery. I'm out. I'm gonna go play basketball. So I faded out of Little League and then I had a good couple of years of basketball, like 7th, 8th grade where I was fucking nasty at that. That's when I peaked athletically. Those middle school years where you're just riding your bikes, playing sports, you're starting to chase chicks a little bit. You're also starting to drink a little bit, but like sex, drugs, and boozing doesn't like own your life yet. It's just like the taboo shit you're kind of dealing with. You're tipping your toe in that water. Riding your bikes and fucking around with your friends and like masturbating is all that really matters. Playing video games, hanging out. That is the most joyful period of time for any guy in my generation. I don't know about chicks. What's the happiest time in a girl's life, Jackie? Like, what's the equivalent that I'm talking about for a guy when it's like, yeah, we are totally carefree. All we care about is like sports and like sci-fi movies, astronauts, aliens, not a single care in the world. Maybe you have a crush on a girl. Maybe you get your first boyfriend or girlfriend. You have your first drink and just like, nothing else matters. Is it the same period of time for girls?
I mean, yeah, but also I think like early 20s is just like every girl's kind of prime.
In their early 20s. I feel like that's before you've had like a bad like toxic relationship or before you've been burned by a couple guys. You're still young, you're hot. Guys are buying you drinks, you're getting into wherever you want.
Kind of sick.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking sick. Jackie's like, right now, like my life, right now, you crusty old fuck. Yeah, that probably, I mean, chicks, yeah, I think what it is girls have a longer window. No, you have like girls are gonna have a prime.
But also it's like, then I'll look back at like childhood and I'll be like,
see, I feel like boys have more fun in their childhood than girls.
yes.
I think that little girls don't have the same amount of fun as guys. Of course, generally speaking, we're stereotypically speaking here. Like, I feel like all those things I described, like girls are the ones that are like, I don't know, you're struggling. Like puberty for you guys is a nightmare. Whereas puberty for boys is kind of like, whatever, like our dicks work now, but we're still just like fucking around and having fun with like our toy guns and fucking jumping in the pool. Where you guys are like, I hate every minute of my life right now. Yeah. But then things get awkward for us where it's like, okay, now you're like a 20-year-old, like you're a freshman or a sophomore. There's like an upperclassman guy or people out of college who are making money and have a job and they're cool and you're not, and you're just like, fuck, I got nothing going for me. And that's when you guys start to kill it.
We get the last laugh?
No, we get the last laugh because then eventually you guys just get old.
Shut up.
Because we become like distinguished. Hopefully you become like a distinguished gentleman where it's like, I'm making a little bit of money, I got my salt and pepper hair, and you guys are just getting ugly. Yeah.
Dude, I got told there's gray in my beard last week, and I'm like, let's go.
Yo,
finally.
Yes.
It's going to be great. I'm going to peak, it's going to be great.
If I could get salt and pepper going, the problem is I get a little ginge too. Like, I think, is it here or here? I have like a patch of gray right there.
Yeah, right around there.
And then if I could do it with like dark hair and some gray, all good. Get a little bit of red in there, and then it's tricolor. That's a fucking, nobody needs 3 colors in their hair or their beard. But yeah, we get to age into those things, especially now. Shout out to Roman. Go to GetRoman.com/Clancy for $5 right now. We get to fix a lot of our problems. We get, you have some dick problems, we have ED pills. You got hair problems, we got growth hair pills and gummies. You want to last longer in bed, we've got the Roman swipes. You go to GetRoman.com/Clancy. You can get a month of Roman swipes for just $5. What are the swipes? They are medicated little towelettes, moist towelettes. You open them up, you rub them on your dick, numbs you up just long enough that you can last long enough to satisfy yourself and your partner, but not too long that you're like, ugh, this is hurting, or not numb enough that you're like, I can't even feel this. It's the perfect in between. It's FDA approved, but it doesn't require a prescription. You can just get them right now for $5 when you go to GetRoman.com/Clancy, along with all of their other men's hygiene and healthcare, from your skin to your hair to your sexual wellness. They have condoms. They have everything you need to be safe and to be clean and to thrive. So all of our problems get fixed as you guys get older. It's just like, I don't know what to tell you. You guys had a good run. You should have stayed 20. But that, I'm out. I mean, I'm out of, once, you know, that ship has sailed of like the no stress, relax. Instead, I'm getting out of the fucking car, leaving it running. I mean, holy shit. What's wrong with you, dude? I feel like an old grandma. Grandma KFC over here, leaving his fucking car running. Are you absolutely kidding me? And it's don't think it's not a coincidence. And I've lived my life as a miserable sports fan that has had a huge chunk of a huge effect on my life. And now that I'm this, you know, ball of nerves, ball of anxiety, freak out in the middle of the night, leave his car running, fight with nurse clowns in the hospital type of guy. It's not a coincidence. That's why I'm finally, I took the step. If you listen to KFC Radio, I said, I'm done with at least the Jets. I can't be done with the Mets, but I am cutting the Jets out of my life to the extent that I will no longer let them affect me negatively. I am finally breaking up out of the abusive relationship. I might see you here and there. I might wave hello. We are no longer together, New York Jets. No. We're out. I'm bettering myself, okay? And people ask me, what am I going to do instead? And I say to them, anything I fucking want. There's an endless amount of things I can do now instead of just watch the fucking Jets for 4 hours. But you know what I'm really going to do? Is just watch television. Because TV always delivers. Even if you watch a show you don't really like, it's like there was some hype for it, you tuned into it, you gave it a shot, it didn't work, whatever, on to the next one. It's not like you dedicate yourself like years and or even hours and hours to this thing. You watch a couple episodes, you don't like it, you move on. And you just pick up another thing on another streaming platform because there's so fucking much to consume right now. I've been on a binge that I feel like I need, like, if you've been listening to my 1 Minute Man rants over the last year and you're listening to my opinion on current events and stuff, listen to my opinion on television, because that's the only other thing. The only other thing that I do, what do you do? I watch television. And right now, cannot give a higher recommendation than Squid Game. Squid Game is some wacky shit out of Korea where this is like take Saw and Hostel and all those, mix it with Black Mirror, add in a little twist of like some Twilight Zone type of shit. Nah, not Twilight Zone really. It's not really sci-fi. But yeah, it's Black Mirror meets that gory like thriller type vibe. And 9 episodes, I believe, maybe 10 episodes. I'm not even through it yet. I still throw my seal of approval on it, where you got these people who are down and out trying to make money, competing in children's games, and if they lose, they pay the ultimate price. It is intense. It's in Korean, or I think it's Korean. Me and Feidelberg argued the other day about whether you do subtitles or you do the English dub. For a show like this, I did the English dub because I could just listen in the background if I'm on my phone or if my kids are bothering me or I need to be doing something at the same time, and I can still kind of understand what's going on because a lot of it still is action-packed and it's not as, the dialogue and the plot aren't as much important about listening to what's being said. But I hate the English dub when the mouth's moving and it's not lined up with the words. So if that bothers you, you do the Korean with the English subtitles, or you can do the English dub. Squid Game, A+, total seal of approval. I also watched the other TV show. We'll do TV first. I picked up season 2 of The Morning Show is back. Morning Show was one of the first shows on Apple TV, season 1, that I thought kind of put Apple TV on the map. They dropped that along with like a couple other shows, but that they put their dick on the table with like Aniston, Carell, Reese Witherspoon, that whole cast, Billy Crudup. Season 2 is now out, and I think the first couple episodes were like, they were fine. They basically have to reset the show. It's like, why would, at the end of season 1, everything's in total chaos. Why in season 2 would they all be like back together? Because in the world of Hollywood, like all these people would have split off and been like, fuck this, I'm out. So they're doing a little like scene setting for season 2 where it's like a little Hollywood magic as why they would all be back together. But what's cool about Morning Show season 2 is I think it's going to be the first that I can think of that's popular, that has a big cast and people are tuning in, that's going to address COVID. Like they restarted their season during COVID to address COVID. They said they had shot a premiere, they had a few episodes done, and then COVID hit and everything changed, and they were like, we got to go back and do this all again. So if you watch the first episode or two, you see these little hints about COVID, which are pretty cool. Like really subtle things. Like Reese Witherspoon walks into the kitchen and she grabs fruit and she like touches it and looks at it and she's like, never mind, and puts it down. Like she's spreading germs. There's a holiday, a New Year's scene where one of the anchors gets his face licked and you realize how much people are touching each other. Little Easter eggs of like, oh wow, COVID's everywhere. And at the very end of this one episode, you hear somebody start coughing, and it's like, oh, COVID's coming. And Morning Show was a very polarizing show. I feel like some people hated it, and they thought it was over dramatic, and they thought it was silly. I thought it was very captivating. I thought they tackled like the Me Too stuff really well. The monster cast, a couple good twists. I thought it was actually great. So I think seeing them, those writers and those actors tackling like COVID in real time is going to be pretty fucking solid. I also watched Don't Breathe 2. I watched Don't Breathe 2 before Don't Breathe 1. And if you haven't seen these movies, watching them out of order is a very interesting way to approach it. I'll just say that. I told Feidelberg about this, and he said that Don't Breathe, the character from Don't Breathe 1, is like a bad guy, and in the sequel, he's the hero. And Feidelberg said that nobody in the history of Hollywood has ever deserved a redemption arc less than this guy. So I tuned into Don't Breathe 2, and I kind of like looked at it, and it said like you can watch this movie without seeing the first one and still enjoy it. So I do it, and I'm watching this guy like he's the hero. And then Fights is like, bro, you gotta see the guy you're rooting for. And I go back and watch Don't Breathe 1. I mean, he's the most despicable character. He's one of the most despicable characters in movie history. What he's doing in Don't Breathe 1. I don't want to spoil it, but it's kind of like it's from 2016, so you should probably it's your fault if you get spoiled at this point. But because Don't Breathe 2 is just dropping, it's available right now for like the $19.99 purchase, which I love. Cannot get enough of the on-demand movies that you can buy right away before they're in theaters or when they first hit theaters. I'll pay $19.99. I'll pay $29.99 to get the movie right there in my house the night that I want it. I can get my own popcorn going. I get my own snacks going, and I can watch the big movies of the time without going out of my house. Love it. Certain movies you got to be in the theaters, obviously. But for something like this, I was like, absolutely, let's rock. My cable bill goes through the fucking roof, but to just be able to be like, yeah, sure, let's fire it up. I almost challenge people, watch Don't Breathe 2 and then watch Don't Breathe 1. If you haven't watched these movies yet, watch them out of order, and it is an entirely different experience that people who watch it in the correct order will think that you are like a monster yourself. The way you feel about the main character, if you watch them out of order, when you realize the truth, you feel like an absolute despicable piece of garbage. There's a scene in Don't Breathe 1. Do you guys know the movie Don't Breathe? Have you ever seen it? I don't know if I don't want to spoil it, but there's a scene. This guy does something to somebody in his house that is absolutely one of the most offensive things I've ever seen in a movie. It is truly, like, I Googled it afterwards, and it was like, let's talk about that scene from Don't Breathe. And it's like, well, that's when you know especially if you're doing a scary movie or a thriller, when you get that treatment of that scene, we got to talk about it, like Bone Tomahawk or any of those type of things, there's some shit in Don't Breathe that is up there. And yet and still, I found that guy. He was my hero in the sequel. I don't know how they did it. Well, it's because I watched it out of order. But the fact that these guys chose to make that dude a hero the second time around is one of the gutsiest things I think that a movie director has ever done. I'll let Fights talk about his opinions on it on the next KFC Radio, but I recommend both of them. Go rip Don't Breathe 1 and 2 if you can do it. Squid Game, put at the top of your list, must watch. And I'll wrap up here, watch the reboot of Candyman. If you're into scary movies and you remember the old Candyman, there's a remake now with like a Jordan Peele is executive producer. I think he put his twist on it. And it's good. I don't want to say it's very good. It's good. I don't know if I can give it like my full seal of approval because it's a little bit silly at times, but as are all like horror movies, and Candyman is up there with like, Michael Myers and Jason and Freddy and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all those like classic 80s monster thriller horror movies. But the remake is it's worth a watch. And I will just say Jordan Peele obviously makes a lot of quality. He does these thrillers that are always very racially based, and it's a lot of like the heroes are black and the villains are white, and very like poignant commentary on the way things are in society. I'll just say this: there's a lot of fucking dead white people in Candyman. A lot of fucking dead white people in Candyman. I think that was half the reason why they wanted to make this movie. It's good. I feel like if you are a big Jordan Peele fan and you like what he's been doing, you're gonna love what he does with Candyman, because there's just dead white people all over the fucking place. So throw it on your list. Don't Breathe 1 and 2. I like the Candyman reboot. Season 2 of Morning Show is rocking. The Squid Game is like the must-watch for right now, and it all leads up to season 3 of Succession, which is coming soon. The last thing that I haven't dove into yet, I just want to throw on your radar, Foundation dropped on Apple TV. It's a sci-fi epic that has been, it's like the original sci-fi book. Isaac Asimov wrote it. It's what like George Lucas used to inspire for Star Wars, which I didn't even think Star Wars like had inspiration. I thought Star Wars was like the OG, and it turns out the Foundation is the book that talked about the evil empire and the intergalactic, space shit. And so that's out on Apple TV. I started to watch the premiere, and I could tell, I was like, this is heavy shit, and I was in no state of mind at that point to watch it. I was like, I need to sit down when I can block off some time to really dig into this. But the trailers that I've seen and the specials behind the scenes I've watched of it are like, people are hoping that this is like Game of Thrones level big. I will say though, after like an opening weekend, episode 1, I haven't heard a single fucking person talking about it. So don't know if you can call it a swing and a miss on Foundation. Game of Thrones took a little while, even multiple seasons to really get cooking. But in this day and age where you have everything streaming at your fingertips, to like, if you don't like something, move on to the next. Like I said, I ain't watching the Jets. I'm opening up. I'm watching this platform. And if I don't like this show, I'm shutting it down. I'm opening up another streaming service, putting on another. If I don't like this movie, I'm putting on this show. I don't like this show, I'm putting on that movie. So it's hard to really like, you don't have that much slack. You got to like captivate people right away. So I don't know if Foundation missed the mark. We'll see. But add those to your TV watching list, and gonna try to do a little more TV content, as I've always promised throughout the years. But on the Kevin Clancy Show, we'll do our interviews, we'll do our Spite Tour, we'll do some current events, 1 Minute Man shit. I'll tell you some stories, and we'll dive into some DVR topics and talk a little television and movies. So throw those on your list. All right, so let's get into it. It's Rayna Greenberg on the Kevin Clancy Show. When I first wanted to launch the Spite Tour, she was one of my first calls. I picked it up. I was like, I need someone to come on. I need interesting people. I need someone to help me promote it. I want you to help me blow this show up. Let's do a good sit down. Let's really dig into things, and that's exactly what we did. I mean, everything that I talked about at the top of the show about growing older and being anxious and feeling nervous and like hectic life, like she has her own tale about that. We talked about her transition from like being just a regular old sales job to being a popular food blogger, Instagram account, to now being one half of the most successful girls podcast out there. her failed, I don't even want to say failed engagement. I feel like that's a negative connotation, but she was engaged, ended up not getting married, and really probably for the better as a person. And we just kind of talked about how you, like, the game is not about just checking the boxes in life, where it's like, all right, I'm this old, I should do this. And, you know, I live here, so I should do that. And we check. I met this person, they check the boxes, let's get married, let's do it because we're supposed to. And this is how the timeline works out. And that's not the way that you end up being happy and content and fulfilled. And so a good conversation with someone who has a unique perspective on this whole thing called life from New York City, living this lifestyle, a very unique perspective. So let's do it. Rayna Greenberg on the Kevin Clancy Show. Spite Tour continues. Remember, leave a comment below. Hit me up on Instagram or Twitter at KFC Barstool. Let me know who you want to see next on the Spite Tour for a good sit-down, long-form conversation. Rayna's a great one, though. Enjoy it.
Am I talking to you or the camera?
Talking to me.
Okay.
Right here. Focus on the goods, you know?
Yeah.
Rayna Greenberg's here, one half of Girls Gotta Eat. My boo, my girl, what's up?
What's up? So you and I have never been here unsupervised by the co-hosts of our shows.
Yes, I know.
Are we
I
okay?
Well, I would ordinarily say, like, I think Feidelberg, who's like the mom and who's like the child in your situation? Because I'm definitely like the dad, literally in my spot, but I'm also like Feidelberg's the clown, and I'm the straight guy.
Like you're in charge?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
Ashley's in charge.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
She's a foot taller than I am.
Yeah.
She's just, she's in
yeah,
charge.
like physically, literally, figuratively, all of it. She's in charge, right? Yes.
I met her exactly 4 years ago. We were on this like influencer trip in Aruba. So we're coming up on our 4-year friendship anniversary. Like we didn't know each other before the podcast, which we've told people that a little bit, but like I think people are like pretty shocked to hear that. We like have no experience with each other. We never thought like, can I start a business with this person? Like, is that gonna be chill? Like we share a bank account. We never knew we were gonna go into business together.
I actually think that helps.
It helps.
I think if you were like lifelong friends, had ups and downs, went through like boyfriends issues with each other, family issues, like jealousy, you know, all the shit that can happen with a girl friendship, I think would probably be worse to then go into business with, you know?
Yeah.
Stereotypically speaking, of course, but I do think, you know, that kind of stuff would be, potentially be a problem.
It's a fresh relationship. So also, like, we're talking about dating and relationships, and so every story I tell her is something she, like, doesn't know also, which is cool. She hasn't, like, lived the experience with me.
That's important
so
too.
That's fun.
Because like, so when you're telling a funny story or something you like, that if she was like, ugh, like I hated you when you were dating that guy, or I hated that guy,
exactly.
or like, you know, that's the guy I used to tell you to break up with and you wouldn't listen. Instead, she's just like, all right, cool story, let's go. You know?
She and I have been I was engaged at one point, like a long time ago, and he left me. But
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
We'd had she had never met him, obviously, because it was years before I met her, and then we had talked about him on the podcast for years. And then one night she was on a first date with a guy, and she met. I was randomly out with my ex-fiance, like one of the only times I've ever seen him in years, and she met him, and it was like so wild for her to like meet this person that was like such a big part of my life, but she never met him, but he's a big part of the show.
So weird.
So that was really weird.
So you meet on a influencer trip, and so what kind of influence are you doing at that point?
So I had like always been in food. Like my first job was like waiting tables at a diner. I moved to New York. I couldn't get a job in marketing or advertising. Nobody would hire me because like there was such a bad recession. So I waited tables.
Were you coming right out of school in like the 08, 09 or whatever time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I came out of school, moved here from Indiana where I went to college, and no one would even like hire me as an intern. I grew up in Pittsburgh, went to college at Indiana University.
Got it.
Moved here after. I had like the quintessential Big Ten college experience that I wanted to have.
I would have thought you'd be like a New Yorker, like a New York Jewish girl, like like through and through, born, bred, never left. Like you don't give off Pittsburgh vibes to me.
I'm from the Midwest, and I always kind of knew that I would live in New York. Like that was all. Like I remember coming here when I was like 8, and I was like, oh, this is
it.
Like you know, like you just. I mean, you've been here for so long, and so like I don't know if you relate to the feeling of feeling like I found my home. So,
I mean, with New York for me, I tell everybody like, if my family wasn't here, I'd be gone. You know, like, but everything, my friends, my family, my life, my just everything is like my entire world is New York, right? So I'm not going anywhere, but I would get the fuck out of here. And I think in general, I'm not one of these people that like feels the energy of a city. Like, it's just a place to me. Like cities, some cities are big, some are small. Some have big buildings, some have no buildings. Some are hot, some are cold. Like, it's fun. There's places that are more fun, more options, more whatever. And I'm not an idiot about it, but I'm also not just like I would never be like, this is it.
But you won't go anywhere.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
won't travel.
That's true.
You sent me a map one time. It made me laugh so hard. I was traveling somewhere, and you were like, "Here's all the places I won't go."
That's the
and every
KFC
place
map
was
of places
X'd
I
out.
won't go, and it's very limited. I think it was actually that originally started as places I would live, not I'll go places, but live there. It's a short list.
I just always knew I wanted to live here. I like, everybody says like the energy and all that. I just think, especially in your 30s, you are really surrounded by like people. Like, you're not living here in your 30s if you didn't make money, you're successful, you're doing something cool. Like, in your 30s, you really, and in my 20s too, you're really surrounded by people that just like came here to kill it. And I like being around those kind of people.
Yeah, that is true. And maybe that's what I take for granted is that it's kind of like that's just a given to me almost. I feel like in your 30s here, you either like quote unquote made it, meaning like not like you're famous or rich, but like you are doing what you set out to do or settled in somewhere.
Or something.
Or you go, or you leave.
Yeah, a lot of my
right?
friends
So-
got married, had kids, moved back to Pittsburgh or Chicago or wherever they like came from, and that's no shade. I think it's pretty hard to have a family here. So
Oh my God, it's
I
impossible.
understand it.
It's fucking impossible. I'm like, you gotta be rich.
Yeah, like super
to like have your kids set and then also like have your own life and your own expenses. It's like there's just no money left over.
I can't do it.
It is bananas.
I see women carrying strollers up the
that's also
subway
crazy too.
steps,
The
and I'm like,
physical like having, and then I've always said forever, if you grow up in the city, you're fucking weird. You come out weird.
Are you fucking weird?
Like, I mean, but I was in the burbs, you know what I mean? Like, I got out. If you live in the city, you're fucking weird.
You've seen some shit from the age of like little.
You're
you know?
like I always say you should be going to school, not commuting to school. Like you're hopping on the subway to go to like third grade. That's fucking weird. You don't ride your bike anywhere without worrying about getting like clipped by a cab. It's weird.
Yeah.
You can't climb a tree unless you go to the Central Park and it's like everyone's climbing the same fucking trees because that's the only place we get to see some grass. It's fucking weird.
It's fucking weird. I remember
And you're
when
smoking cigarettes and drinking by the time you're like 11.
Yeah, you're exposed to like too much shit. Listen, I'm like thrilled to have grown up where I grew up. I was like 11 and my parents were like, I don't know if I want to give you the key to the house to walk yourself home after school.
Right.
Like I had like a normal childhood.
Yeah.
Quote unquote normal. As normal as it could be.
Right. The new normal type shit. So you come here at what age? Right out of school. So you were trying to do the like PR advertising like every other fucking chick under the sun. Just desperate to get that $30,000 a year PR job because you're gonna be the next Carrie Bradshaw or whatever the fuck she did.
Yeah, I just thought it was like the coolest thing. I was like this hot little piece of ass with like big boobs or like 100 pounds. I was like, I'm gonna make it. And then I got a job like cocktail waitressing and I was like crushing it financially.
Dude,
I made like 3 times as much as anybody else.
It's like obviously not your dream nobody sets out to be like a bartender or whatever, but you start making cash, literal cash, and you're under the table and tips and also like the lifestyle, you're out a lot, you meet a lot of people, influencing people, get you tables here, get you in there. Yeah. It's like, why would I stop doing this?
Yeah. All my friends were getting up at like 7 in the morning to go to their jobs, and I was like partying and doing drugs till 3 a.m. every night. It was fun. It was a fun way to live in my early 20s. I liked it.
So wait, I've always wondered, you were making cash there?
No,
or not? It was regular
I worked
paycheck?
for a guy named David Burke. It was in the Upper East Side, which like if your first job in New York City is like Upper East Side Jews, that is like baptism by fire. That was rough.
I'm sure.
What
place were you working at?
It was called Fishtail. It's not open anymore. It's on 62nd and Lex. It was just like an old, beautiful townhouse. It was a seafood restaurant. It was cool. And I would like
high end, was it fancy?
Yeah, like a neighborhoody high end. And I would take the lounge every night, so it was like 6 tables, and I would just like clean up like crazy. Restaurants in New York are usually pool houses where you share tips, but the lounge wasn't. So I was just like hustling. I was such a little bitch. I just stayed late. I took everyone's tables.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved
So tips
money.
just went to you?
Yeah, the tips in that area just always went to me. I was going home with like $500 a day.
I was always like, so what do you like, do you just keep do you deposit the cash or do you just keep it? Like, I was always wondering if people who work in that industry are just like drowning in cash in their apartment.
I mean, you also
like if you were to get robbed, you'd be fucked.
No, I mean, a lot of it comes through a paycheck. Like,
okay, so that's what it was like normal.
Yeah, every restaurant's different, but this is like a nice restaurant. People are paying with their credit cards. Probably the average bill was like $200. You're not like running out of cash. So they pay you with a paycheck.
So doing that, and then you start Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram was like down the line. I worked in tech for a while. I worked at Groupon for years, and then I worked at Amazon.
Huh. All right. So this is what I'm talking about. So you lived a quote unquote normal life with like a normal 9 to 5 for.
Oh yeah.
From what? What year to what year would you say?
When did I move here? 2008, maybe like 2012 to 2017, 2018. I randomly went into like working in tech because there was a small company that was starting a point of sale system company that ran on iPads, much like Square. And they were like, it's this really like new thing for restaurants, and we're gonna be able to like sell these to restaurants. It's gonna run on iPads over the internet. It's gonna be really cool. And so I got a sales job with this tiny little startup doing that, and Groupon acquired them.
Wow.
They wanted somebody with a restaurant background to sell to restaurants. So that's how I got into it. And I had never like written a professional email before. I was like, I don't know how to fucking do this.
Yeah.
And like I will reread some of the emails that I wrote like when I was working at Groupon, and I'm like, I was so unprofessional.
Yeah.
Like I was like, you need to apologize to me. Like at all points. It was crazy. I was like 25
But
years
I
old.
think that works sometimes, as long as you do it with like a little bit of confidence, and you're like, as long as you know what you're talking about. You can't be an asshole and be like stupid. You know, you can be an asshole if you know
100%.
what you're talking about, and then people are like, okay, I am sorry. I do apologize.
100%. I was the #1 sales rep in the company.
Wow, look at you.
34 out of 36 months, something like that.
Wow.
Something crazy. So like, I mean, yeah, when you print money for a company, do whatever you want, I guess. I don't know.
And were you thinking like, all right, I'm just gonna do this kind of shit for the rest of my life? Like,
Yeah, it was a good living. I was engaged. I like made some money. It was just like, that's what everybody was doing. I was just like, great, it's a great 9 to 5, a nice group of friends.
now when you were doing that, I feel like a lot of people fall into the like, what you just described. You get out of school, you get this kind of job. By this age, you do this. By this age, you do that. By this age, you have kids, house, da-da-da. Did you like recognize, like did you either A, set out to do that, or B, did you recognize you were doing that? Or were you having feelings of like, I don't know if this following the track is for me?
I remember he proposed to me either on my 27th or 28th birthday, and I remember thinking like I checked the box. I remember thinking like everyone else is getting married right now. Yeah, it's sick. It's fucked up. I wasn't even excited to get married. I wasn't crying. Like, you know, I feel like girls get the ring and they're like crying, and that was not my response.
Was that? Did you recognize that in the moment?
No, I just thought, and I've talked about this with my current boyfriend, and other people have shared the same feelings with me about partners they've had in the past, where like, you just feel like I've been with somebody for a certain amount of time, this is what you do.
Yeah.
This is the path in life. And I don't think I questioned it. I was like, I'm 27, I'm 28.
Yeah, that's like, I was doing that too, but I never thought of it like as a bad thing.
I didn't think it was a bad thing.
Like, I didn't think of it as like, I shouldn't, I'm not this type of person, and I'm trying to fit a mold that I don't fit. It was like, I was always pretty hell-bent on like being normal. Like, even when Barstool started to make some waves, I was always kind of like, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be different, like live a weird lifestyle. I was very happy to be like, I'm gonna get married around 30, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have all that. And like, but I almost wish I recognized like how that was gonna be difficult because of like this, you know what I mean? Like, it ended up being part of the problem, and I think had I like just accepted that and been like, it's not normal, so don't try to make it, I don't know, would have been different, maybe, I don't know, better or worse, but like I would have been a little more like prepared or whatever to go through everything. But it's hard to recognize it, like if when you're going through it, if you do you know it's happening, or is you know the amount of clarity and like hindsight you get when you're out of it. You know, how many times have you get out of a relationship and you're like, what the fuck was I doing?
Yeah.
Dude? And all of your friends and family were like, yeah, we know,
Yeah,
and
no
like we knew
shit.
from Jump Street. So it's just like, if there's one thing I wish I had, like a superpower, it would be like to recognize in the moment. Yeah, if you had hindsight like as foresight, it would be, you know, life-changing.
Hindsight is foresight. That's funny. I put on a t-shirt. Yeah, I mean, I think like looking back, like I wasn't excited by him at all. Like our sex life was fine. I mean, it just, we would have sex like once a week though, and I just like, I remember like thinking like, okay, check the box, did that this week, you know?
Can't do that.
We didn't really like travel. He wasn't interesting. He like never came home and said anything that made me feel like, oh, that's fucking really interesting. I can't wait to like get into that with you. It just
Now,
was,
do you think he was saying like the same things about you? He broke it off?
he left me. He left me the day after my engagement party. Like I think I've told you this on this show. He came home and he stayed out late the night before the engagement party, and I was
How long
like,
have you been engaged?
I got engaged in June, and this was around Halloween.
I don't remember like engagement parties. Like you wait a few months and then you have a party for it?
I don't know, there's like a time period. It's just like his parents and my parents were like, let's throw a party, it'll be
Got
fun.
it, okay.
And he came home at like 4 a.m, like the night before the party, and was like, basically like, I'm not in love with you and I don't want to do this. He was like, I love you, I'm not in love with you, and I'm not happy and I don't want to do this.
Sucked, but like also happy that he like was honest about it, right?
Yeah,
like
listen,
I mean,
you pick up the pieces. Like life is not always perfect. Marriages aren't perfect. People get divorced. You're divorced. My parents were divorced.
So much better to do it then than because like the it's gotta be hard to break up once you've given the ring, like because you do feel like a gigantic asshole, and you do tell your whole family, and you do make this financial commitment. You are throwing parties, you are planning, and then it's like, by the way, we're not doing this anymore.
It's humiliating.
But you gotta be like pretty brave, to be honest, to do it.
Yeah,
it's like you're doing a dickhead thing, but it is courageous to be like, I was so wrong, I'm sorry, let's just pull the Band-Aid off now.
Yeah, I don't like credit him with any of that. I've seen him since then. He was like, I know I did you a huge favor. I'm like, okay, shut up, dum-dum. Okay, you didn't do any favors. I did me favors, okay?
Right.
I picked my life up and I changed.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
But, of course, in retrospect, like, you're in it and you think, like, I have this partner that loves me and he's kind and he's a trustworthy person and everyone likes him. He gets along with everybody. He's really handsome. Like, that's what I should want. Like, it's a drama-free relationship. It's just, I trust him. I know he is where he says he is all the time.
Right.
But yeah, it just like wasn't exciting. It was boring, and it would have led me down a path of being kind of boring.
Had you been in relationships before that were like a little more like, wild and spicy, but they were also fucking, trauma, toxic, all that. So
Yeah, like
did the ease and comfort of him come at the right time where you're like, I want this. Yeah, right.
That's actually, I never really thought about it, but the two people I dated like more seriously before him were like not nice to me. Like it was just constant fighting, it was constant lying and cheating and just like, what's he gonna do? I don't know where the next like shoe's gonna drop. So
what was the other side of it? Like, was it like love hard, hate hard? Like where there's a lot of fighting,
like
but then they're like fucking your brains
sex.
out and
Yeah.
So that's probably, how it goes, right? It's like you were getting the wild relationship, but it was like tearing you apart. And then you find this guy who is safe and checks every box, but you're missing the other side of it.
Yeah, and listen,
and that's like finding that the person who can do both is like
it's tough.
Yeah.
And every relationship is different, and there's problems in all of them. Like I'm in a relationship now. He's great. He's wonderful. We have problems like everybody else. You're never gonna find a perfect relationship. It's just about finding like a person that like sort of like understands your level of crazy and you understand theirs and that you fit and you're sort of like your goals are aligned, you want the same stuff in life. And I remember feeling like so sad that I was gonna like date in my 30s. I remember feeling like I'm so old.
I feel like for girls that's that's a tough thing to.
But I mean I've said this on our show a bunch of times, like I like it now because when you meet people they're like a little more fully formed. And like like if this person is gonna be quote unquote successful or interesting or a piece of shit and a sociopath and all these things. Like, I think people are just a little more grown up and fully formed at this age, so you can make more educated decisions.
The timeline that we have set up, I think, is all fucked up.
We're picking children to be with when we're children.
I think it's
no
crazy.
offense, my assistant's 22. You're wonderful.
I think it's wild. Like, it's almost like we say like 20 is the new 30 for everything else, right? But we haven't like really shifted that with relationships.
Yeah.
You're still, like, you're a fucking moron in your mid-20s and even into your late 20s. And that doesn't really, you don't just snap your fingers and change in your early 30s, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
it's like, why are we...
Some people are lucky. My brother met his wife when they were like 22 and they have like grown together. They have the best relationship. They seem really happy. I mean, I'm not there every day, but they seem to have like their goals grew in the same direction.
Well, that's the thing is you have to really grow together because like, the person you are when you're 25 versus 35 is going to be wildly different. So the person you're dating might not, like the person you turned into at 35.
Yeah. How many of us are 35 and look back and you think about the person you dated at 25 and you're like, I would never pick that person.
Never.
In a million years, if this person came up to me at a bar, they wouldn't get
Right.
past go with me.
Right.
And I've been in love with like a couple people, and the person I'm dating currently, I probably wouldn't have picked him 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have picked me 10 years ago and vice versa. But like the people that I was dating at 25 and 30, I would never pick today.
Right.
And
So, but this is what fucks me up is like, nothing else in your life. Well, I shouldn't say nothing, but very few things are you picking. Like, all right, I'm gonna do this for the next 40 to 50 years. You know, it's like kids are permanent, hopefully, God willing. And like, if you find like a career, not just a job, but like a career that you think you're gonna do for a long, long time, okay, that can span decades. Other than that, nothing else. Where you live, what you do, what your style is, what you look like, what you listen to, what you eat. I mean, all of it changes radically. But we're supposed to try to find a person when we're still like young, dumb, and partying. That's gonna, this will last for 40 to 50 years.
And I think, no offense to like men, I'm gonna try to pick on men, but like women too, we're all shittier people when we're in our early 20s. Like some people are like,
Absolutely. You were gonna try to just put that on just men?
Well, men are a little shittier than women are.
Get the fuck out of here.
But I hear people say like,
just as shitty.
People say like, is once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't know. Did your college boyfriend make out with some girl at his frat? Like, no, I don't think once. Yeah. I mean, I just think that people grow up and change. I think that people are shadier when they're younger. That things don't have, you know why? Because things don't have like as long-term consequences when you're super young as they do now. You meet somebody at like 32, the likelihood that you fall in love with that person and have kids is like pretty high. Like that you would start making those like long-term life decisions. At 20, no.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, are you doing it for the right reason when you're 32? It's like you do make those decisions, but is it because you're like, I'm 32?
I mean, I hope that people don't feel like they have to make those kind of decisions. I know that some people like quote unquote settle, and listen, we all have different priorities. If your priority is like, I want to find somebody that's financially stable and I want to have children, then you need to accept the trade-offs. And that's fine, but you are making trade-offs. And I've seen girls do that. I've seen girls that are like 33 and they're like, it's time to pick a mate. It's time to pick a mate with money and I don't really care if he's nice to me.
That's crazy.
I don't think that's what goes through your head. I don't think that like it's a conscious decision, but it's happening.
You think that guys change more?
As they get older?
Yeah. I think girls change way more.
Settle down.
Like I feel like so many girls who are like party girls, and not in like a bad way, not like you're like a drunk, like drug, addict slut, but like you party,
yeah,
right?
I party.
And you go out and you're social and all that. And then like as you get older, it's like you just want to become like a mom or a wife or like, and it's just like totally different from what you were.
Yeah, everybody grows up and settles down, has like different priorities. Like I'm a different person than like I was. Like I feel really happy that I started this podcast, that Ashley and I started this podcast in our 30s. And I don't know that I would have been able to give like really solid dating advice.
No way.
In my early 20s or my mid-20s.
I think about the stuff that I used to say on Barstool, not even like dating advice, but just stuff, just my opinions and my takes. I'm like, because when I hear a 25-year-old spout off with like such confidence, I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Some do.
And that was me.
I mean, some do. My brother,
with certain topics too.
With certain topics.
But I mean, the way we grew and got the followers we got, and this like the way we blew this up was by being like, here's my take on every topic, and here's what I think about everything, and I don't think we knew shit about shit.
I'm also
I still don't.
I'm also lucky. I think that this started a little later when I got some internet attention and the show got really big. That I'm in a better place, I'm secure in who I am. So if people are gonna say mean things to you on the internet, I'm like, okay, sure. I try to be a good person. I try to not offend anybody. I try to be open, and we make our show as inclusive as possible. And I try to be as understanding to every type of lifestyle and thought in the world. But I am just at an age where I'm a little more confident, and I'm like, okay, all I can try to be is the best version of myself. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, for me, the difference was once I got older and went through some real life shit, the internet hate that used to like really weigh me down, I'm like, oh, this is like superficial, surface level type stuff, Like, I used to get upset about feedback that was like, I don't like your joke, I don't think you're funny, I don't think you're good looking, I think you're ugly, like, and at that time, that was the biggest problem in my world at that time was like these comments are saying that like that blog I wrote wasn't funny, and it like ate at me, and now it's like, that's the highlight of my day, bro. That's as easy as it fucking gets now. So I'm like, I really feel like once you go through the fire, you become like bulletproof on all the other bullshit, which is kind of nice. It's like, I wish I don't wish people go through horrible stuff in real life to achieve it, But the feeling of getting to the point where you're like, because so many people say they don't care. Like, I don't care, I don't read that, or the comments don't bother me, the feedback's fine. But very few people actually like live that, you know? And when you do, it's like you achieve nirvana, you know? You like unlock the top level where it's just like, yeah, this doesn't faze me anymore.
You've helped me to like let it go, you personally, because I know that you're sort of at this level where like you've achieved some fame, but people know they can still sort of get to you a little bit because you're not like an A-list celebrity. So people know you're like reading your comments, you're reading your DMs.
I've always said we are the worst level of fame.
Yes.
Where it's like
people know they can get in there.
Yes.
And you've helped me to let it go. Listen, I'm human. If somebody like says a terrible thing to me, I mean that it hurts my feelings temporarily. It's almost like the crazier the comments, like the less I care.
Definitely.
The wilder it is, I'm like, are you okay?
It's the people that are just like calmly like just hit you with a knife like right to your fucking heart where you're like, that's exactly what I like. Yep, that's my shortcoming. That's what I think every day when I wake up and it bothers me, and you fucking nailed it.
You nailed it, I know.
You know?
If somebody's gonna be like, you're fat,
Some
you're
people
ugly,
are
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Whatever,
I can lose weight and
man.
get surgery. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, it's, I think we'll look back one day, I don't know how long it'll take, but I think there will be studies and scientists and sociologists and shit who will, I mean, the profound effect that social media is having on people. Probably
those exist today, those studies, yeah.
But I don't even think I don't think we can really tell because there's still, we don't even, there just hasn't been enough long-term effects, you know what I mean?
I feel so blessed to have like grown up with like in the generation that I'm at, the age that I am,
We're the greatest
because
generation.
I didn't for the greatest.
We are the greatest
our
generation.
grandparents the greatest generation?
Fuck that. Fuck that.
Fuck our
oh, you
grandparents.
fought in World War II? Great. Have you ever dealt with fucking, have you ever been canceled on
Internet
Twitter,
trolls?
motherfucker? No, you haven't. Okay? You ever been in the blender on social media for a week? No, bitch.
Have 1,000 people ever told you
I
you're
storm
fat
Normandy
and
every
ugly?
fucking day. I mean, give me a break.
That's so funny.
No, but I've always said that we are young enough to be able to adapt and be a part of like the technological revolution. We can pick up a phone, pick up the internet.
Right.
We're not like, how do you work this thing like your grandparents are? But we're young enough to remember a time without it, and we don't take everything for granted, and we know how to like actually talk to some people and like interact. And you know, because if you're older than us, you can't keep up. And if you're younger than us, you are like a wildly spoiled brat who like even the nice people, even the good people. It's like you lived with everything literally at your fingertips. Like every movie you wanted, all the porn in the world, all the deliveries in the world, everything right at your fingertips.
You know what was so nice for me is like the blissful ignorance in high school of not knowing that I wasn't pretty. Because I didn't have social media, so like I didn't know I had like bad teeth and I dressed bad and like I was
But how happy were you?
I mean, I hated myself like a normal
Well, of
teen,
course, you were a teenage
but, like,
girl.
I didn't like I feel like kids these days. I go on the internet now and I'm like the girls I see on TikTok, I'm like, you're so hot.
I can't even
15,
imagine.
It's crazy.
I know.
Like how do you know how to
Because they have to be
that?
though. You know, they have to be because they are on social media. They get made fun of or they get judged until they're like, okay, I'm gonna learn how to do my makeup, do my hair, get in shape, learn how to dance, learn how, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like
I didn't do any of that. Facebook came out when I was in college.
Yeah, me
That's
too.
it.
Me too.
Most of my bad decisions are not documented either. Like I can't even imagine like what that would feel like going to a party in college and knowing that like somebody was going to Instagram story that. Like thank the fucking Lord nobody has any footage of that.
I know. I do like I know everybody hates like the TikTok kids and especially the rich ones. And I understand why, and part of me hates them as well. But I also like feel bad for them because they are like stuck in this like Truman Show world where I think they're getting fucked up, you know?
Yep.
The D'Amelio girls and like even like the Paul brothers, as like successful as they've been, like, you know, you can tell that a guy like Jake Paul is like literally fighting every day of his life, like fighting against the internet, fighting against the haters. It's not healthy. It's not normal. And they've won, you know, they're making all the money in the world and shit, but it's like, you know, someone's gonna drop dead one day of like a heart attack at the age of like 23 because, you know, life is just so stressful every single day with you know, everything, the world seeing every move.
I mean, I record a show, I put it out every single week, and it's just like, every week I'm like, here's this 2-hour thing for you to judge.
Yes.
And you could rip me apart, go for it. Like,
and you're gonna like you're putting out your thoughts. Here's what I think. Here's what I think you should do. So it invites the criticism or the answer. You know.
Everybody associates me and Ashley with each other. So I mean that's not bad. I think Ashley's an amazing person, but anything she says is a reflection on me, and everything I say is a reflection on her. So like sometimes I'll even say to her like, do you mind if I post this on Instagram and blah blah blah, like things like that, because we are so linked with each other. So everything I say is on display, and everything she says also reflects on me. But I mean, I'm grateful for it. Like, I'd rather have it than not have it.
What's the worst that's ever happened between the Girls Gotta Eat girls?
To us?
Yeah, like has there ever been a near breakup, or we're ending the show, or?
Me and her, no.
We
are like really lucky in that sense that like I lucked out and I have a business partner that I really like trust so much. And even though we fight, like absolutely, like the worst fights I've ever had are with Ashley.
Really?
But we're in business together.
What? Like scream at each other and someone storms out of the room? Or
yeah,
like,
I mean, it's hard to be in business with somebody. It's hard to spend every day
What's
for 4
the meanest
years.
thing you've ever said to Ashley?
I would never say that. I would never say that recorded.
Have you ever just been like, you fucking dumb bitch, like screaming like that?
We both have been really good at never saying anything to the other person you like can't take back, or like like petty blows, like like I mean, I probably got mad and said fuck you before, but like that's probably the worst thing I've said to her. And it's hard to like work with somebody, produce a show, be on the road. We travel a lot together. Our social lives are really intertwined. So she's not like a coworker, you know. She's like my sister. She's my family.
Yeah.
And we're making decisions together constantly. And that's tough, you know.
Yeah.
Especially like when you're both used to working for yourselves, having to like look at another person and be like, what do you think? You know, that sucks too.
Right.
But I'm lucky to work with somebody that I like trust, that's like smart and works really hard. So yeah, I mean that's been.
I mean, me and fights have never. I mean, not even come close to a fight, which is almost weird at this point. You know what I mean? It's been like a couple disagreements. I guess I'm lucky in the sense that I would bet if he were to be like fully truthful, there have been times where, because he's so kind of like indifferent, he's like, whatever, bro. That even things he disagreed on, he would just like kind of concede to me, and we kept it moving. And so, like, for the sake of the relationship, it's probably good, but it's also like, I almost feel like how every radio duo, fucking band, any group, business, whatever, I feel like everybody almost inevitably breaks up or has their moment where they decide like we're going solo or we can't do it anymore. And it's like, so is it coming? Like, will we ever break up?
Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully not. No, Girls Gotta Eat will be.
But doesn't it feel like it's got to have? Like,
I mean, everything has to come to an end, I guess. But you know,
and there's always one person who picks. There's always one person who's ready and one person who's not, and like, it's almost impossible for it to go smoothly. You know. I
think it's also important when you work with another person to keep everything in perspective, that it is a job, and you should have things outside of that job and that relationship. You know. We have a really unique relationship because we are so close and we're like family. We spend holidays together. Yeah. We also work together. We run this business together. We are so
threesomes together.
Like. I've never had a threesome with Ashley. Isn't that so weird?
I mean, you guys should just like cut to like it's just efficient at this point. You can tell one story on the podcast instead of multiple stories.
Yeah, but it would just like shorten the podcast.
Yeah, that's true. But it would probably be fireworks. I'll tell you that much. I don't think it would shorten. I think there'd be more to talk about. Who would run the show in a threesome with you and you? I
feel like Ashley. Bella, what do you think? I feel like Ashley would be like directing the threesome.
She'd be barking out orders.
Yeah. And I'd be like, whatever, stick it anywhere. And Ashley would be, that's not the order of things. She'd be like, Rayna, God damn it. But we are thankfully never attracted to the same person, which is also really important.
Also, you'll never have like a Yoko Ono.
Never. We'll never. Well, I think she took down the business, right? Well, my boyfriends will never take down the business. And I think we always put like Girls Gotta Eat ahead of other things. So even if we are like in an argument, like we always say like, I know that even if like we're fighting about something about the business, when I say fight, I mean just like a bickering. It's always for the benefit of the business. Like, I don't think she has like a huge ego about anything. Like, I don't think she makes decisions.
She's like, I think this will make us more money, or this will be better. And you're like, well, I think the
or it'll
opposite.
be better for our audience.
Yeah.
And I don't ever feel like she makes decisions that are like to make herself look better or bigger or more important than I am. So I think there's like a good like give and take.
And you think that you were saying earlier, she like is the boss or whatever, however you worded it. So like, are there things that like she's calling the shots on, or is it all 50-50?
There's just been like a really nice division of like work. And so there's certain things that just always sort of fall into me and things that fall into her. And she always asks my opinion. I also just like trust her to like make decisions and do stuff. She trusts me, so it's fine. We've been doing great. We're going back on the road.
I mean, Girls Gotta Eat is a fucking force.
Yeah, I forget sometimes. I forgot during COVID a little bit because you feel like I mean, I can see our numbers obviously, but like, you know, you're screaming into the void and you're not doing live shows and you're like, does this mean anything to anybody still? You know, and so like the emails and the DMs from people were so special and so important throughout COVID, of course, and throughout quarantine. And, you know, we do a lot of live shows, but we couldn't for so long. And so to not be able to like see the people at our shows and laugh with them and like see their like screaming like in this giant room was like such a bummer. So to get back on the road has been like really special for us.
And I mean, you guys are doing like how many dates a year you think now?
Listen, like everybody else, like every other performer in the world, we're trying to book dates, you know? So, and we want to have a nice balance between life and work. We're doing 12 cities through the end of the year. And we just got done with Philly.
So that's not like, you know, crazy.
No.
Like it's certainly like manageable. I mean, I was just like, when I see some comics and I see their calendars, it's fucking bananas. It's like, 21st, the 23rd, the 24th, the 30th, the 31st. I'm going to go to this city and this. Because it's like, I think for them too, they just got this routine and they can spit it. So it's like, I might as well just keep making money. I can sit at home alone or I can fucking go back out and do it at a club.
That's the job, you know? And those shows are fun. Our shows are about 90 minutes. We usually open with dancers.
Yeah.
We have music. We have playlists. Like
you guys have a fucking circus.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like this wild ass comedy show.
It's like a fake stereotypical like TV girls sleepover. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with 1,000 girls.
Yeah, 1,000 girls having a sleepover. Like short of you guys having a pillow fight on stage, I think that's like what I would picture girls doing. It's like we're gonna dance, we're gonna talk about boys, we're gonna like go through your phone, and we're gonna like
that's
know
it.
What I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why fucking girls love it. And that's why you're selling out everywhere you go.
Yeah, we like pull people's phones up on the big screen. We do all kinds of dating app stuff.
I commend them.
Oh, it's so fun.
I mean, I guess you got to know if you. Do you people like volunteer to do this?
I mean, out of 1,000 girls, one of them is. I mean, it's one of them would do it.
But like
yes, a lot
walking
of
in,
girls.
you got to know if you're the type of person who's going to offer that up, and you know you go to the Girls Gotta Eat show, you probably, clean some things up on your phone or whatever. Like, have you ever gotten somebody who's like, you give the phone and they're like, holy shit, like I don't know if they're gonna see this or see that.
These girls are usually like. They're usually ready for it. You're not going to come up on stage and
that's
say
what I'm saying.
something if it's
right.
And also, like, I would
What's
not.
What's the worst thing you've ever gotten out of somebody's phone? Like, has there been anything truly shocking?
We've put up some pretty crazy like PowerPoint presentations that girls have on their phones about guys or like Excel spreadsheets.
PowerPoint presentations?
Yeah, we get all kinds of wild shit.
What does that mean?
Just stuff that they wrote about guys, you know?
Like to present to someone?
Yeah. Like
to their friends?
That they send around to their girl group.
Like, here's why I'm going to date him. Here's why I'm going to fuck him. Here's why I think
it's usually like, here's why we don't fuck anymore. You know?
No, I literally don't. So you decide, I'm not going to fuck this guy anymore. Like, we're breaking up. And I'm going to show this to my friends to what? To convince them, to further convince myself.
I don't know.
What is wrong with you hoes? What is wrong with these bitches? You guys are crazy, man.
I've seen a lot of shit. The girls that come to our shows, it's just like this wild girls night out. People are drinking. We would never bring somebody up on stage and show their phone if they seemed too drunk. We would never expose anybody's like names or where they work or anything like that. Right. It's like there's good privacy measures at the shows.
Do you guys ever show your own phone?
Oh yeah, I got a whole slideshow of like dick pics I do at the shows.
Do you? Do you really? Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so we read.
Very funny.
I mean, the show mostly focuses on our life.
Yeah.
We're not going to put anybody on blast, and nobody that I've dated ever felt like I put them on blast. Like I've never had somebody I've dated or gone out with that said like, I can't believe you said that about me.
Right.
I'm pretty like.
Well, that's just because, that means they just haven't spoken up yet. because I assure you, some guys have got to be out there thinking that.
I'm pretty like respectful. I don't know. Like also everybody that I date, I say to them like, what do your parameters look like? What do your boundaries look like?
Because I'm gonna talk about all this shit.
I'm gonna talk about all of it. My current boyfriend doesn't care at all. He's a comedian. He's like, send him to my shows.
Yeah. Are you guys like do people know who he is, or do you just say I have a boyfriend?
Yeah, it's funny. I was like for a while I was like, how long am I gonna wait to like post a photo of him? And I talked about him a lot on the show. So I posted
Never
a photo.
said his name though. It was just like my boyfriend.
I never said his name.
Do you guys have a nickname for him? All girls have a nickname for him.
We don't have a nickname for him.
Really?
No, I just call him by his name is Kane. I call him by his name.
Maybe that's a sign of maturity.
I
feel like every girl has, like some sort of nickname about the guy. Oh, this is soft dick, or like, oh, this is big balls.
That's after you break up. Yeah.
No, that's during. Come on.
Well, I'm gonna call my boyfriend soft dick.
I guess that's more like hookups. You're like, soft dick's coming over. We'll see if we can get it up.
100%. You just you diminish them to like a 3-letter thing, a 3-word thing, and they're in your phone.
Yeah.
I posted a photo of him and I did not tag him. And then a bunch of girls who like listened to his show and sort of like figured it out, tagged him in the comments. And so at that point I was like,
horse out of the barn.
And one of my best friends also tagged him in the comments. I was like, bitch, are
you
fucking
motherfucker.
kidding me? So then I just tagged him and I was like, fuck it, who cares? You know?
I think what I've learned is you either got to do fully, you're either in or you're out with that.
100%.
Because you can't, someone's going to know. The amount that I've learned of just like someone out there will know the 6 degrees of separation type shit. Like, you can't get away with it. No matter what it is, the internet, if you're big enough, the internet will find out.
Yeah.
You know? So, like, you can't be like, oh, I'll post a picture, but I can't tag him. Or I'll say his first name, but I won't say his last name. It's like, either you're cool with him being out there in public or he's not. Like, I think it should be fully separated or you're fully in, basically.
Yeah, and he's not a private figure. You know, it'd be different if I was dating some dude that worked like 9 to 5 at Salesforce. Like, my boyfriend has thousands of followers. He does comedy shows every weekend.
And he's just using you.
I hope he is. Honestly, every dollar he makes just goes right back to me. So, so I'm happy to promote him and put him on the map. And I think also people are like, well, I don't want to promote my man too soon. I don't want to do that because like, what if he leaves me? And I've done all these nice things for him. And it's like, I don't know, that's life. You should always want to help your partner in any way that you can. And I think he's super funny as a comedian. And I think all I can do is like expose people to him and his show and his comedy, and it's up to him to keep those people around.
Have you been in a relationship yet with Girls Gotta Eat? Is this the first time you've dated someone?
I've dated like in the last, so the show has been around for 3.5 years. I'm always dating. I've had like a million, like 3-4 month relationships. This is the first like put him on my Instagram. I'm in love with a person. Like,
is that changing things?
With him or with the show?
The show. Or him. Both.
I think with anything with the show, it's just like it adds another dimension to the show of like, I just met his family last week, so like we did like a cool episode about like when to meet somebody's family and like what that feels like and what if somebody's like weird with their mom, which he isn't, but
why are girls so fixated on guys in their relationship with their moms?
Okay, so we said like, what do you guys want to talk about with families? The number one question, people were like, mom is boys, mom is boys, mom is boys.
What the fuck is? I mean, I know the answer, but I'm curious what your answer is.
I mean, my feeling is that like a lot.
You don't want to share attention. Yes, that's the answer.
Oh, I honestly like, and listen, I'm not trying to hammer moms, but I feel like a lot of the time the problem comes from the mom, and also just hear me out. I also think it is up to your partner to control, quote unquote, control and manage the relationship with their parents. So is your partner telling his mom stuff about you that's not nice? Yeah. Does your girlfriend think that your mom is a bitch and your boyfriend told her? Like, or does he say stuff like, oh, she has like annoying eating requirements. Can we just like cook something vegetarian for her? Like, what is that? What is your partner saying to their parent to create this situation?
I've always said like, you can't, like, don't tell your family anything until it's, or like if you're gonna, it's got to be like permanent. The breakup's got to stick, because once you tell, and then you vent, and then they say, I agree, we never liked him in the first place or something, and then the next day you're back together. Well, now you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Yeah,
you're fucked.
I like that analogy. Yeah, I mean, listen, it comes from love. Your parents just want to like see you do well.
Yep.
It does seem to just be a mother-son thing. It's never like a father-daughter thing. I mean, I've seen it, like my brother is not a mama's boy in any way, but my mom does get like a little petty with my sister-in-law, and it's so funny because my sister-in-law is like the sweetest person. She always like cleans up dinner and brings flowers, and my mom's just not like a bubbly, effervescent person in general. Yeah. She's like a little catty with my sister-in-law.
But then like your sister-in-law will soon be the mom and doing the same thing to her son's girlfriend.
Maybe not.
It's all cyclical, and you don't realize it.
I just think it sucks, and I feel for women that have had to like deal with that with their partner, and I just think that like it's not up to you to mend the relationship with his mother. It's up to him to communicate to his mom. These are the boundaries.
I think that if you go into a relationship, I think so many girls go into the relationship automatically being like, just assuming there's a weird thing that's going on with the mom. Like if you date a guy and you and you start to realize that there's some weird mama's boy shit, fine. But it seems like it's just a across the board thing, guys and their moms. It's like, I think deep down you don't like your man having another woman, even his own fucking mother, taking attention or time or whatever love away from you.
I think it's mom's fault. I think it's always mom's fault. She doesn't like someone taking advantage, taking something away from her son.
Yet. Once you're a mom, you're gonna be like, "This is my son. This is my boy." Like, what are you talking about? You will be on the other side of it, and it'll be like, "Oh yeah, now I fucking get it."
I mean, maybe I will. I don't know. I feel for girls that dealt with that. I've seen it not be managed super well. Listen, as the girlfriend...
Because guys are... The reason why you say, like, it doesn't happen with daughters and dads is because dads are like, I don't know, man. Like, I stay out of this shit.
Yeah, 100%.
You know? And so when a guy, a son, is like... He doesn't know how to manage it. So he does, like, say the wrong thing to his mom. And then he like, I guarantee there are sons/boyfriends who say something to their mom or their girlfriend not realizing, like, that's it, you can't go back. You know what I mean? Like, that's now ruined forever. Like you said, you told your girlfriend that your mom once said this about you. It's over. Like, they'll never have a good relationship.
Yeah, it sucks. It's hard. I think that as the girlfriend, you can try as much as you can, try to have like a little bit of a relationship, text your mother-in-law or your boyfriend's mom every once in a while, say something funny or cute. But really, ultimately, like, how often are you going to really see this person?
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Let's just let them have it.
I think a huge problem for me was like the feeling of balancing once you're married and have kids and all that. It's like I used to do everything, all the holidays, everything with my family, and now I felt that like getting taken away, and there wasn't a good balance, and like if that goes unchecked and unmanaged, that becomes a big problem down the road, I think.
Yeah, families and relationships are fucking tough.
Yeah,
and like,
it's crazy.
I
believe until you're married and maybe even until you have kids, you should do holidays separately.
That you as a couple should do it separately?
Like, you should go home with your parents and do your things, and I should go home and do it with my thing.
It's never bothered me in the past, like with relationships I've had. Like, I'm always fine for like you to go do something with your family, me to go with mine. I mean, I'm also Jewish, so Christmas isn't a thing. So like for me, I'll always go with you for Christmas, which is great.
That's a cheat code, you know? That's great. Like, that's what everyone should be doing, is just interfaith relationships, because you don't have to worry about juggling fucking
Rosh
Christmas. Yeah, I'm going home for Yom Kippur or whatever. I don't know. Eat the unleavened bread.
With kids, you know, I think you just want your kids to have like the best possible relationship with everybody and have everybody around as much as possible.
So hard though. It's crazy. It's so hard to it's impossible to juggle it all.
Yeah, I don't know how people do it. I'm lucky I don't have to right now, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, listen, I think that most people that are in love could have a relationship in a box, but you know, relationships don't exist in a box. You know, there is always friends and family, and I think COVID relationships are a little tough because now people are coming back out into the world.
Like,
you're adding friends and family to the mix, and you're like, I didn't know what you were like at a bar. I didn't know how jealous you are. I didn't know that you don't like if I go out with my friends. I
think, you know, there are people who probably felt like they were head over heels for the person they met, and now are like learning, oh, I don't like you at all in the real world. It sucked. And COVID, as bad as it was, if you found the right person at the right time in the right apartment situation, it was amazing for love and relationships and sex and romance. It's like, this is like a movie script where it's like, we're just like all cozy together all the time, and it's amazing. And you don't have friends can't bother you, family can't bother you, they can't come over, you can't do any of that. So it's like, yeah, we just enjoy each other and it's amazing. And like, that wasn't real. And you also got it for like a year in some cases. You got a long time of that. So it's like, oh yeah, no, we're in love and this is it. And then it's like, oh no, because you can't even handle going out to a dinner together. All temptation was removed. All side pieces were removed. All social plans were removed. All you had to do was like sit at home and just like, are you chill? Are you chill? Let's make some dinner. Let's fuck, whatever. Let's try a new hole tonight. I could have lived in lockdown forever. Minus the massive amounts of death and horrible shit going on in the world. I'm a little bit like that too, in terms of like, I don't mind being alone. Like, I like my own company. I like to be alone with my own thoughts. I enjoy working out. I enjoy taking walks by myself. I'll read a book. I'll cook. I also I did quarantine alone. So, I have friends in my building that I was around. So I wasn't completely by myself, but, and I tried to Zoom all the time. You met this dude after, like... I met him in January, recording a podcast, actually. So post, like, quarantine COVID life. You were able to, like, be out. And, I mean, it's obviously still going a little bit, but it's...
Yeah, he was living in LA when I first met him. When I flew
The
to
long
LA.
distance.
Yeah, he's gonna move here, hopefully.
For you, or that was always in the plans?
I
would never want that pressure.
For somebody to move here? I think
For
he always
you,
wanted
like,
to live here.
That's different.
He's
you know?
in comedy, so it's really like LA or New York, and that's it. And I love the New York
You're gonna
comedy
move in together
scene.
if he moves here?
I think so. I mean, it seems kind of silly at this point to be like, no, get your own place and furnish it and like spend all this money to do this shit.
But it's so funny because so many people move in because of rent or because of those things, and they are not fucking ready.
I know.
At this age, it is probably different. But the amount of people I saw, like late 20s, being like, well, we can like each pay $2,500 a month, or we can each pay $1,250 and just split one. Let's do that. It's like, why wouldn't we? It's like, well, because you're actually not nearly as compatible as you think, and this is now going to crash and burn. And now you share an apartment and a cat together, and you're fucked. You know what I mean?
I would never have a cat with a person. But I think it's just important to like have open, honest communication. I know that sounds like very like, yeah, no shit, but like the amount of emails that I'll get from somebody that just, it'll say like, I don't know how to talk to him about XYZ, and I'm like, the beautiful, eloquent way you just put this to me, just put it to your partner.
Yeah.
Just say it just like that. And we've
But
had
people
honest.
can't. People, it's so
scary.
hard to
It's
say
scary.
certain things to certain people.
But like
you know?
money is a thing that people, it's not a sexy thing to talk about. You have to talk about it. You know, what are your attitudes towards money? Like, do you like to save? Do you like to spend? Him and I have had honest conversations about moving in together where we're like, are we making this decision like
The right
for
reasons,
the
yeah.
wrong reasons? Yeah, and I think that like we shouldn't be afraid to have those conversations.
It's so funny how in life you can be direct and assertive and outspoken with like everybody else but like the one person you need to be. And it could be like a boyfriend, girlfriend, it could be work, it could be family members. And it's when you see it sometimes it's like just treat them like you treat me. You know what I mean? Like be like that bitch at work instead of at home, and you'll fucking go to the top. And it's wild how much you can have like a mental block on like, well, I just can't be that person to this person.
Yeah, because you want to like be fair, but like I think like
You don't want confrontation. You don't want to rock the boat.
you don't want confrontation, but I mean,
But then it leads to more by like not speaking up. You know?
not saying it will always be worse than saying it, and I feel like that with friends,
that
with
is
family.
like a lesson that I think guys and myself like I everything in my life probably went wrong because of not saying it until it was too late or whatever. But I still like can't bring myself to say it.
I mean, there's certain truths that are hard to say. I don't like our sex life. That's a really hard thing to say to somebody.
Impossible to say to someone.
But I mean, I think that hopefully you don't get so far down that road.
Once you say that, I think it's like over.
I mean, I've never really had to say that, but like, I would hope that like you would start to introduce things that you want
You have
sooner.
to. I think you have to be. Has to be a lot smaller, a lot earlier. If you let it build to the point that it's like we don't have it. Once you're like scheduling sex or having that conversation, I think it's a wrap. You can fight through it. I mean, I'm sure you can, but like I feel like in most cases, it's too late.
For me, when I'm not fucking you anymore, it's pretty much over.
what I
And
mean,
there's usually a reason why I'm not fucking you. It's not that I don't want pleasure. It's that I don't respect you. I don't like you.
That's tough.
I don't want you inside of
come
me.
back.
So like I feel like when the sex is gone, it is like super.
over.
It's super
Yep.
over for me.
Yep.
And like when I look back at the guy I was engaged to, and we like never had sex, and I thought like this is so weird. I used to want to have sex all the time, but like in retrospect, I'm like, oh, I didn't respect you really.
Yeah.
And your lack of like motivation didn't like get my pussy all wet for you.
Do you think? I feel like you are like a very ambitious person, very like driven, and there are times where I wish I was the total fucking opposite of that.
That
I
you were
wish
less
I was
ambitious?
like, absolutely. I wish I was like so simple-minded and just happy about the little things in life. I wish I could just like have a simple job in a simple town with a simple house and a simple family and enjoy simple things and wake up every morning and be okay with that.
I think those people are probably happier. There's this concept
They're so
of like
much happier.
there's this concept of maximizers versus satisfiers. It's that. So like satisfiers are people that are like they'll interview for one job and they'll take that job because
Yeah.
that job has good benefits and a good salary and it will be secure for them. But
Yep.
there's other people that are like, I need to interview for 12 jobs because I need to know I'm getting the best job. And They
Right.
do that with food and partners and apartments and like the kind of people that want to like maximize their
More, more,
opportunities
more.
more and more. They probably like do go farther in life. They like get more, but it's like I don't know.
But at
I don't
what
know if you're
cost
happier.
and what? Yeah, I mean, like if I could have easily seen myself just like stopping at where I'm at right now. Being like, if I get to that level, like I would just do that forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, what's the next show? What's the next iteration? We gotta cancel this and restart that and da-da-da. And it's like, and then I had this like existential crisis of like, what is enough? And if nothing's ever enough, then why am I doing anything?
That's like too much, yeah.
Right?
I feel like you'll stop doing it when it stops being fun.
Oh, it
And when
should
you
stop
stop
being fun a
enjoying
long
it.
time ago,
All right,
girl.
well, okay, you heard it here first. You're quitting Barstool right now. I don't know. I mean, I like always pushing. First, I like having like a reason to wake up in the morning. I don't think I do it at all costs. Like, I want to have good relationships. I want to have a social life. I want to have a boyfriend. I want to have a balance.
Balance is so clutch. I mean, I don't have any balance really.
You work constantly. You got here at 2:00.
Constantly working. Well, but that's the thing. That's the thing. Even if it's like not like it's not like, we don't work around the clock. Well, I mean, certain times of the year it is like 7 days a week. We're always on. It's like not in an office, but it's like you're constantly posting on social and nights and weekends are when the games are on that you cover and all this shit, and it never ever stops. So even if it's like I made time for this person or my family or whatever, you're not like fully present or whatever. That fucking term I want to throw out the goddamn window.
Yeah, it's hard
You're
to
not
be
present with me. You're here, but you're not here. It's like, how about I chop your head off?
Like, you got to find a partner, hopefully, that's like that understands that. Like, I work 7 days a week. I don't work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and
But
some days I don't
every
work
day,
it. But like, sometimes I need to stop and make an Instagram post with Ashley. And some people would think that's really stupid, but it's not stupid to me. We have an audience.
Right.
I'm trying to produce content for them.
I think the main problem in my life is people still, maybe finally coming around, but they don't get that it's like, you think I'm just making like an Instagram video, and it's like, this is the job.
Like, the job.
This is what I knew. This is how I win. This is what we do. And you think of it as like silly, especially the videos we're making are stupid and dumb questions and talking about sex and all these things that are like, that's not work. It's like, that is the fucking job.
Yeah, but add it up, it's a business.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of dollars
You're just
behind that.
watching a game. It's like, no, not anymore. Now it's like we're streaming a game and we're
I'm live tweeting it, and all these people are getting into it, and they want to come to me because I'm producing this content.
But I'm sure it's also every walk of life. Like the internet, I just think is new enough that people don't. If you dated like an actor and they were like, I have to be on set to act, you'd be like, oh, because they're an actor. They make movies, they make TV. If you date a vlogger who's like, I need to like vlog this today, you're like, but can't you just like do that after we go out or whatever? It's like, you would never fucking say that to someone who works in a traditional media thing, right? Like, because I don't have to be on a set, but if I did, you would be like, go, you have to be at the set. It's like, the set's fucking right here, but treat me like I'm a news anchor or some shit. You would never just be like, come on, do you have to do that today? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do.
It's the fucking Today Show or whatever. I have to do it today. Yes.
People that understand your lifestyle. Like, we should all be thinking like, what are our top 5 things we want in a partner, and like, go get those things.
Yeah, but it's not even necessarily just like romance. I think it's just like people in general who like they
My
don't.
mom.
Sure, family, like just other people who like kind of like turn their nose up at it. Like, oh, what do you do? And it's like, you wouldn't do this if I was telling you. If it was an actor who you knew, if it was a name in traditional media that you knew, I sing songs, I make music, you'd be like, oh yeah, but you're like a blogger or whatever. It's like, okay, man, like, get with the times, but I think I think we're probably reaching a point, I feel like, where people do respect the fact, like, oh yeah, I sell out like every city we go to. Thousands of people. How about that, bro?
And if you can't understand that, that's okay. Like, I've had the same Groundhog's Day conversation with my mom every time I stay with her at home, because I'll bring my computer down to the kitchen every morning, and I'm on the computer, and I'm on my phone, and she'll be trying to talk to me, and I'll keep, like, sort of ignoring it, and she'll be like, Rayna, do you have to be on your phone? I'm like, Mom, I'm not on my phone. I'm doing work.
Yes.
And she'll be like, you're just playing on social media, and I'm like, how do you think I'm going to my pay for your retirement home?
Right.
Okay? I'm just kidding. I would never put her in a retirement home. That's for my brother. My brother can deal with it.
My retirement home is my brother's house. That's where you're moving.
My brother and I'm always like, listen, you got mom, right? Like, I'll take care of dad. Like, you can get mom. She likes you more.
I do feel that way though. Like, I mean, before I ever had the job here, my mom jokes that I used to walk around, like probably pre-iPhones, I'd have my laptop in my hands, like just walking around the house, like everywhere I went, I had the laptop with me. And it was like, I didn't know it at the time, but it was like I was starting to be someone who's like fully plugged into the internet, like at all times. And it's, you know, they used to think of it as, and they still do think of it as like rude, and it's like, I mean, it's what it takes though.
Get over it.
It is what it is.
Get over it. Stop talking to me about it.
Yeah, leave me alone.
That's how I feel.
What do you think is next for Girls Gotta Eat? Is there like, are you guys just gonna keep doing it, or is there like are you trying to write like a TV show, or are you doing a book, a documentary, a movie? Are there like grand plans, or is it just like this is the final form of Girls Gotta Eat?
We have some stuff we're working on that like I won't reveal, but we always just like, I mean, the stock answer is like we always want to like produce a show that's like of the times and that's also evergreen, and so, you know, just having like better guests, providing better resources to our audience. You know, I'm sure that we'll write a book someday. I'm sure that we'll go into different types of like media at some point. Like we want to have our finger on the pulse. I love touring and traveling and doing all these like live shows. And like I was saying before, when it stops being fun, we won't do it anymore. But we love producing the show, and we love the audience. We love the live shows. They're so much fun. We have a new merch line dropping, which I'm excited about. And we'll see.
You think it's easier as a chick?
What?
Like having like a female show as opposed to, I guess, you know, there's females in comedy, like stand-up comedy world, but also like now within this internet world, we do still kind of be like, oh, that's like the girls show. That's a girls podcast. This is a guys podcast, even though it really is kind of just all thrown together. Do you view that as like, has that been a blessing or a burden?
I don't think about it that much. Like, I feel like, you know, there's problems in every business. If I had an all-male audience or an all-female audience, our audience is great. Like, the shows are really fun also because, like, I don't have a bunch of, like, terrible drunk men yelling shit out at me, which is nice. I don't, like, people always say, like, do you guys get, like, dick pics? No. Like, 76% of my Instagram following is female.
Yeah.
It's really positive. It's really, like, supportive. Like, yes, girl,
so that's
yes,
what I mean.
queen,
It's
go
been
off.
like, right. It's been slay. Right?
I love it. You know, I feel really supported. I think our audience is fun
when
to
I
build.
do stuff with girl shows, make an appearance on them, have you on, like, the feedback I get from the girls who are either fans of that show or fans of my show, it's like, it is so positive and it's so nice and it's like a breath of fresh air, and it's such a departure from the guys who are Barstool fans who are just like horrible to us, you know? It's like my fan base is, that's why whenever someone's like, oh my God, like, you know, Barstool fans are like horrible to us, I'm like, yeah, man, get in fucking line. Because I promise you, it's the worst for me. It's the worst for the people who work here. So sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Can I like just live in this world forever somehow? Where
Girl World's nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, every guest that's ever
is.
come on our show has been like, the feedback from your audience
so
is
positive.
insane.
Yeah.
Like,
I
nice.
you reap what you sow. So I put out a show where I'm a very like cynical New Yorker, and I'm like, fuck this and fuck that. And so I get that in return, and I understand that. But also it's like, that's like the way I entertain, not necessarily the way I want to live or be treated, you know? So I wish there was a way I could do that and then just get the positive feedback.
I know.
But that like support, it's like, go, like you look good, you're great, you're gonna succeed. I'm like, oh my God, these girls are wonderful.
It is really like self-fulfilling. Like, I feel like we try to come from like, and we talk shit all the time, but like, I feel like it comes from a positive place. We're always like, live your best life, and like,
we're
don't
like,
somebody
life
who isn't
sucks.
nice to you, or like, suck a dick later and you'll love it, you know? Like, we want to like improve people's lives, and like every email we get, like whether it's somebody saying like, my dog died and you helped like fill the sound in my home, or somebody just saying like, I wanted to have a better sex life and you helped me to do that. Like, it just means so much. And I think that people feel like the guests we bring on the show and the advice that we give is really empowering and helps them to make better decisions, or just to feel normal and like they fit in. And because there is a positive like spin to all of that, like the audience is going to be positive and uplifting as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to just be easier to keep going. And it's like, you know, there are times where I'm like, I just don't even fucking do this for these assholes, you know what I mean?
Your content's great. I love Minuteman. I think it is so funny. It is like engaging every day. Like, I'll watch it over E! News every day.
That's what I'm hoping. The amount of people who have been like, I get my news from you. I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm happy to take it. I would love to like, I've always thought that down the road, if I could get like a cushy job at like an E! News where it's just like, let me just talk some shit about the news of the day and do it on like a TV network or something like that, would be like great like landing spot one day. Because this shit is like too hectic, too chaotic. You know, I need something that's like easy one day. But the support probably makes it so. No, you know what I think though? I think the guy fans are tougher than the girl fans. I think the guy co-workers are probably better than the female. And when I say co-workers, I mean like in the same industry. Like I feel like there's a million guy podcasts and guy comics that's kind of just like whatever. And I feel like there's much more competition, or at least people try to create competition and pit each other. You put you guys against each other.
Yeah, everybody
like,
wants to think that like women all hate each other and can't work together.
Because they do, and they can't.
Fucking rip each other down.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, they do.
I mean, people like would always say stuff about like us and Alexandra Cooper and Sophia Franklin, and it's like I've never met those girls. I have no feelings about those girls.
Right. There still just is a like, probably because there's just so fewer girls and shows that it's like naturally when there's a new one that pops up, like there's going to be the comparison.
Yeah.
But when you don't,
other.
yeah, of course.
I mean, all I can do is like look forward and not look left and right and try to like be a good version of myself and succeed and like not copy what other people do. And, you know, hopefully that makes me successful. And I also like come from like a place of like a high tide rises all boats where like I'll always promote what other people do. I'll always tag them on Instagram stories and promote their podcast or promote their live shows. That doesn't make me less successful to say like somebody else is doing something like that's the shit. And I learned that from like Nikki Glazer actually, because she came on our show and she's such a big comedian and she like went ham promoting our show and just saying like these girls are amazing, they're so great, and inviting us on her show. And I was like, that's cool that somebody who's so successful doesn't mind doing that.
That I think is the thing is she is so successful. I think it's so much easier to do that once you've made it, because you really aren't threatened by people, and you are like, it's not like if Girls Gotta Eat blows up that Nikki Glazer like loses her spot at the table. But now she has the platform to do it, and it's almost like that's when you want people to do it, because now she's really like blowing you guys up with the amount of people she has following her.
Yeah.
But what?
Not everybody's like that though. Not
No,
everybody feels
not
like
at all.
that. You know,
No,
a lot of
That's
people.
why she still deserves credit, no doubt. But I wish people could learn it like earlier along the way, where it's like we should all just be doing it now, and then we're all like Nikki Glazer. We all get to that level.
Yeah.
I think it's like in New York, people don't realize it. I feel like out west, people do. Like at least what I've seen in the podcasting like network, West Coast guys are like so much more. Come on my show, I'll come on yours, promote it up, and here it's still like my turf, my territory. Yeah.
I don't know, I think you should always watch your back. Like, you should see what other people that aren't as successful as you are doing. And you should see what people that are more successful than you are doing. You should always see what everybody, shouldn't get comfortable. You know, like, you shouldn't, people that I hear saying, like, I started this, I'm the first, I'm like, good for fucking you.
Yeah, and also it's like, no, you didn't. Every fucking idea, every show, every medium, everything has been done and redone a million times over.
Yeah, but I mean, we're always like, okay, what can we do to be cooler?
Isn't that sick, though? You say, don't get comfortable. It's like, don't be comfortable in your life.
Don't be comfortable.
But we, like, that's what I mean, is like, that's, to go back, to like wrap it all up, it's like, I want to be comfortable. I want to just like chill, and instead it's like, I can't get comfortable.
Then don't go get a 9-to-5 where you have no notoriety, nobody knows what you do.
God, I wish.
Be comfortable.
I wish. If you could have all the success you have, money, opportunities and all that, but people like don't know who you are.
What job would that be?
I know, it's like magical, like snap your fingers. If you could do this and still, you know, you're gonna have opportunities to make your money this way and meet these people, have these people on your show, do collabs, all that shit. But like nobody's ever gonna know who Rayna is.
I think I'm at a comfortable...
Do you like the fame?
I think I'm at a comfortable level of notoriety that I want to stay at. So I want to be able to like go out to eat, and I want to be able to like walk down the street, and people like recognize us all the time, especially in New York, but they're like sweet and they're like, hey, I'm a fan, whatever, they keep going. I'm at a comfortable level of notoriety where like people sort of know who I am, and they know my show obviously is like a huge show, but I can still like live a normal life essentially. And I mean, it's hard to say like, would I do this? Because like my life is what it is, and I'm happy that it is what it is, because like, I don't honestly know if I want kids or I ever will have kids, but I know that like I could die tomorrow and know that I affected somebody, you know, and that like I made somebody's life better, and I made somebody's life happier or more informed, more fulfilled, more open-minded because of me, and that Ashley and I have like touched thousands of people, and I wouldn't trade that for anything.
Touched thousands of them, huh? I bet you did. I bet you did. I love it. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
So it's Girls Gotta Eat everywhere, right? Rayna Greenberg on Instagram, but
yeah, Rayna.Greenberg. Rayna.Greenberg on Instagram. Girls Gotta Eat is the podcast, the
Taking
website,
over
the merch,
world.
the tours.
Show the merch. Show the people the merch. Look at these.
They're cute, right? We got like a little
cute.
stitch.
I love it.
But we got tons of stuff coming out and lots of shows. We're doing lots of shows in the fall and the winter, and then we'll see.
Hi, girl.
Love you. Thank you for having me on.
That was great. Big thanks to Rayna Greenberg for coming through, representing the snack heads on Girls Gotta Eat. Anybody else that you want to see interviewed with me, leave a comment below. Guys, girls, bloggers, podcasters, entertainers of any kind, drop a comment, click the bell icon so you get notifications anytime a new episode comes out, and of course, make sure you click subscribe.